What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. I know I'm late on the news. I know I'm late making a video about it. But let's just be honest about it. Kemba Walker, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of him. The guy can play. He was an all-star last year, putting up all-star caliber numbers. Honestly, this year, team just not winning. So they might pick somebody over him just because of the 8 teams in the playoffs and. You still got teams like the Heat and the Sixers, but they got Joel Embiid in the All-Star game. But they might want to vote in Ben Simmons because of the numbers that he had. You still got Gordon Dragic, Hassan Whiteside, and players like that. So he still has a shot, but I doubt it just because his team is losing. And, they don't get that much coverage. People really don't know them. They haven't really dominated like they did the first half of last year. And Kemba has really done all he can do. This team was a team that has bad drafts. This is an organization, I should say, that has bad drafts. They trying to rebuild. Getting rid of Kemba is a big piece of that because he was the guy that they believed that they could build around. Obviously, they couldn't get people to want to come to Charlotte. Obviously, Kemba Walker wasn't a player that made you want to come. He wasn't a player that made you look forward to being a Charlotte Hornet or even want to take your talents to Charlotte because they haven't really got any big free agents. They traded for Nick Batum, but he was a mediocre small forward at best, and now they play him at the shooting guard position. And after the injuries that he has had the last couple years, he was already a okay small forward slash guard, but now he only has gotten worse because of the injuries. Plus, his shooting stroke he never was a knockdown 3-point shooter, and they need kind of the ball handling ability of him, but he's not finishing as much. He's not shooting a three as well. Then you have a player like Dwight Howard, who has been a bright spot on this roster along with Kemba Walker, but you can't really gauge Dwight Howard. He's going to give you the rebounds. He's going to give you points. And he's going to do his job to the best that he can because he's older. And this team, another thing, they got ages all over the place. If they want to rebuild or they want to contend for a championship, they just haven't been able to obtain players without drafting them. Like I said, they drafted Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. They drafted Kemba Walker. They traded for Jeremy Lamb. They traded for Dwight Howard. They traded for Batum. And these are the players that you get when no other team wants them. Like I said, I don't know a team that would like to pay Nicholas Batum $100 million besides Charlotte because they can't get a guy like that to come as a free agent. So they had to trade for him because they can offer him the money. And once they offer him the money, he stayed. But he's not a good enough small forward or guard. You have a player like Dwight Howard. A lot of people have been criticizing him. A lot of people have been crucifying him. And he got traded to Charlotte, but he was on Atlanta, but he got traded to Charlotte. Not a lot of people was open to trade for Dwight Howard. And I'm a fan of Dwight Howard, and I want him to go to a contender. And hopefully if they do trade Kemba, they get rid of Dwight Howard too, so that way he can go contribute to a contender because he can still rebound, he can still defend, he can still finish around that basket, and he still give you a lot of effort and energy when he plays. But Kemba Walker was a guy that when he got drafted, I didn't really think he was going to be a superstar. He already exceeded expectations because he done averaged 20 points for the last 3 seasons. And he has played 81 games, 79 games, and it looks like he's going to play around 480 this year or close to it. He hasn't really been injured. He always plays. He plays hard. He scores. He's when he's on the court, they're a hard team to stop because of the amount of pressure he continues to put up on the defense because he's always in attack mode. Plus, he's always looking to score. And that put the defense in a scare because you have to stop Kemba Walker because he's the main piece of this offense. Once he gets the ball going, once he gets the drives going, once he starts knocking down that jump shot, it opens up the game for everybody else because they get easier shots because of his aggression, because he breaks down the defense and he forces them to double, he forces them to trap, which open up the game for everybody else, because if somebody's trapping, that means somebody's open. If somebody's in the pick and roll, he can always have them switch and get to the type of defender that he wants, and then he can blow past them or hit the three or hit the jumper. If they go under the screen, he's starting to shoot the three. So that's important to teams. Can you play in the pick and roll? Can you score the basketball? And is you a willing passer? And I give Kemba Walker all checks on that. The problem I had with Kemba is like when he got drafted, I did not feel like you can build a franchise around Kemba. I didn't think he was that good. And honestly, I can't really blame him because the best players he has had is these last couple teams with Al Jefferson, Dwight Howard, Nicholas Batum, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. They traded for Jeremy Lamb, like I said before. And honestly, those players are not good enough if you're trying to win a championship. Yeah, I know Al Jefferson was an All NBA third team center, but he played one of his best career years in Charlotte, and it helped them get to the playoffs. But you're not going to win a championship with Big Al as your best play, your second or best player, and that's how I feel about Kemba Walker. At this point, I was watching the starters, and they talked about it like yesterday on Friday, and they were just being honest. Can you really win a championship with Kemba Walker as your best player? He obviously did it in college. It's kind of like the same argument with Carmelo, even though Carmelo, even in his prime, is a way better player than Kemba Walker is now. But Carmelo was able to win high school championships. He was able to win a college championship in Syracuse, and same goes for Kemba. And he also helped them win at UConn and win a championship. But when you in the NBA, you only can do so much, and you only have so much talent that you can, expand your game with, because your body has limitations. You're going against the top athletes. You're going against the top defenders. You're going against the smartest scouts, the best coaches. They prepare for you. They try to take you out your game. And Kemba has been able to adapt. Kemba has been able to continue to get his numbers consistently, but his team hasn't been winning, and they haven't even really made that big of a push in the playoffs, never going to the Eastern Conference Finals once. But Michael Jordan has had problems drafting players, and so has the whole organization. And even with the Jeremy Lamb trade, he hasn't even panned out either. So they trying to find talent, basically what I'm trying to say, any way that they can, because at this point you can't really trust them when it comes to the draft. You can't really get nobody that's a big free agent to come down here and want to sign an extension. So it forces you to build through the draft. But when you're not hitting on your late draft picks, when you're not even hitting on your top 10 draft picks, it's so hard to build a contender in the playoff team when you're not getting great players from the draft or from free agency. So you're forced to overpay players because of the fact that you can't get anybody to come or develop anybody to become that next star. And since you can't get the stars to come or want to play in Charlotte, it makes it harder to build a franchise that can win a championship. And that's why I kept bringing up the Nicholas Batum and Dwight Howard. You can't get them to come in their prime. You can't get them to come when they're dominant. You're getting them because no other team wants to pay these players or keep these players. So you able to trade what you have to get players that might help you win a championship, but they haven't been able to do that. And it's a pain to see because I like Kemba. He made a mark in Charlotte. This is his identity. This is what in his career. Even if he get traded, it looks like we're going to remember him for his Charlotte days because he played majority of his career here. But he has became his own identity. He has became a player that helped his team get to the playoffs as the best player on the roster. He has been able to even make the playoffs and win games in the playoffs, but at the same time, he hasn't came close. And like I said, it's because the organization haven't been able to surround him with the talent that he needs. Now we're going to talk about, before I end this, the question. Is Kemba Walker a number one option? Is Kemba Walker a starting point guard in this league? And the thing I would say is no. I feel like Kemba is not one of the elite point guards in the league, but he's definitely an all-star caliber player. I'd rather have Kemba Walker on my roster. It's kind of like the Jay Cutler theory. He's good enough to start. He's good enough to help you win, but he's not a championship dominant quarterback. And Kemba is not a dominant NBA player. College, high school, I'm not talking about that. But he's a dominant NBA player and an all-star, but he's not a guy that's going to be your franchise player, your franchise cornerstone, and a guy you can build the whole team around, and he can help you win the championship in the NBA. And I feel like if you look at all the teams in the league, you don't see really no teams he can go to and start. Probably besides Orlando, Brooklyn, New York. It's not really that many teams that you can really put Kemba Walker on. Even the Suns, they going in a younger direction. So he's about to be 28 this season. He doesn't fit the curve of the Suns. And the Kings trying to build around De'Aaron Fox. The Mavericks got Dennis Smith. The Lakers got Lonzo Ball, Mike Conley. He can go to Utah because they have Ricky Rubio. I'd rather have Kemba Walker than Ricky Rubio. But is they trying to rebuild? Is they trying to win now? So it's some teams that he can go to and still start and make an impact. But he's not going to be that franchise-changing player when you make the trade for Kemba. He's going to take you over the top. I don't see any of those teams. I do see some teams, like I said, that he can go to and start and still put up numbers and still have all-star caliber numbers and all NBA caliber numbers like Orlando, like a New York Knicks. But is it going to push you over to be a contender? No. Is it going to push you over to win a championship? No. But a team like Utah could utilize him because their record is bad. But a guy that can shoot and put pressure on the defense and score the basketball like he can, that's what they need to go along with Donovan Mitchell, Alec Burke, and Rodney Hood. A guy that can get his own shot, create his own shot, plus kick it to them and make their job a lot easier. And they can shoot threes, so it fits because he likes to get to the paint and playing pick and roll. You have Gobert, you have the screens, you have the big man with Favors and Gobert, and you have the shooters with Hood and Donovan Mitchell. So if he fits there, but he's not going to take them to a contender. He might make them get to the playoffs, but he's not going to help win them a championship. And the other teams, they're going in a younger direction. So I don't see why would you trade for a 28-year-old this season just to compete for a 7 or 6 seed. I mean, a 8 to 6 seed, and that's it. And then you back out of the playoffs and back trying to rebuild, and that's what Charlotte been doing for the last couple years. They've been good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not good enough to win a championship. And when you got all these salaries like Batum and Dwight Howard and even Marvin Williams, even the Zeller guy, you're paying all these players money, but you're not even close to winning a championship. You have to eventually rebuild and get rid of these bad contracts and try to build through the draft since you can't get the free agents and hope for the best. Hope one of them pan out. Hopefully you can get 2 or 3, franchise cornerstones in the draft. And if you can, that's what you want to do. But they haven't been able to do that for the last 10 to 15 years. Kemba probably has been their best prospect out of the draft. And that's not really that good considering that he only been an all-star one season. And that was his highest cap, which was when he averaged 23 points a game. But I think he was averaging around 24, 25 that season. His numbers dropped off by the end of the year after he became an all-star. So he's been their best player, and he's been their best draft pick to me. And we gonna see what they're gonna do with him and what team he can go to. But like I said, any team that gets him, they're not gonna win a championship. I think Kemba Walker is a backup point guard at best. In the NBA, he can be like a 6-man off the bench, come in and give you instant offense and come in and help you in the fourth quarter win and close games if you give him the minutes and you let him get hot during the first couple quarters and then let him, facilitate and play in the offense in the fourth quarter. He can hit big shots, he can make big plays, and he can create for others because he's always in attack mode. Let me know what you guys think about Kemba Walker. Do you think he's a starter? Do you think he should go to a fringe contender? Do you think he should go to a team like Utah, like the Knicks that's almost in the playoffs, and trading for him will help them break out of the playoffs? Or do you think they should continue to try to build around Dante Exum and obviously Frank Ntilikina in New York and Utah? Should they stay young or try to go all in for the playoffs this year by making a trade for Kemba? Let me know what you guys think. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis signing out. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Also, check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description and then in the comment section below. And I'm gone.